This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason Glick, what's going on?
Hey, John. It's going fine right now. It's like things are just like okay, and all as far as things can be concerned. But hey, it's like I finally got my copy of like East and West Volume 10, but I'm not doing it tonight.
Oh, all right. So what will
Yeah,
you be talking about?
yeah. Well, it's like if I had known that it was going to arrive when it did, it's like then I probably would have done it tonight. But because it didn't, I'd focused myself on doing something else instead. And that is um talking about like one of the best series from one of my favorite creative teams, and that is Criminal by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. I mean, these guys have been doing like incredible work, like for on the series for over a decade now. Not thoroughly regularly, to be honest, because when they first started doing it over at Marvel's Icon imprint, it's like it ran for 10 issues. The first volume ran for 10 issues, and then the second volume ran for 7 issues, and then they did a couple of they did two like series of miniseries before the series ran fallow after they moved over to Image, and they did like two 10th anniversary one shots, and then then this 12 issue run that regular readers will know that, hey, it's like I was running like, hey, like, oh man, I'm so thrilled that like Brubaker and Phillips are doing Criminal again. Only like, wait, when is this going to be collected? Because this current 12 issue run of Criminal had a interesting collected schedule for it. Because issues 2 and 3, like were collected as Bad Weekend, and you'll know that I picked that as one of my favorite comics of last year. And the expanded edition that ran in the it's like that they collected in the hardcover version. But then I was wondering, well, okay, you've collected 2 issues of this run, but so when are the rest going to be collected, huh? Well, turns out that they that this this like current Criminal run was going to be collected in a big edition. It's like one that like a 9 issue. Wait, not an issue. It's like wait. No, wait. Yeah, nine issues. God damn it. Um, 9 issues. They collected issues 1 and then 5 through 12, called Cruel Summer. But that was also called the Summer of '88, also called The Last Days of Teague Lawless, because this big volume of Criminal, even though it's not called Criminal Volume 8, it basically is Criminal Volume 8. Brubaker admits as much in his afterword. It's kind of like it's a volume that basically kind of turns the series into like story into like a kind of like a full circle. Because even though the story of Criminal isn't like a serialized, isn't one big story. It's like Cruel Summer basically just lets you know, like, hey, this is kind of like how, like, it basically fills you in on like a lot of key stuff that has been only hinted at, like in the previous volumes, and as it began, like there wasn't a lot of like real crime oriented fiction in comics, and so kind of like the series kind of like stood out like for that at the beginning of it, and I do want to like talk about this a lot of the previous ones in brief, because before I get into Cruel Summer like in depth, because it's like, hey, I've written about like most of these volumes, and they've been like a ton of fun. It's like, and it's like, and they've just been like really, they've kind of like solidified like why I think like Brubaker and Phillips are one of like the best like teams in comics. How you can trust anything that comes to them, whether it be like superhero stories, retro noir. It's like, or it's like like stories about like like a vigilante fiction, like with Kill or Be Killed. It's like these, like just about anything that comes from these guys you can trust, and it's why I'm very much looking forward to um their next like production, the series of original graphic novels featuring Ethan Reckless, called Reckless. It's like, and the first one set to hit then like this December. So I am so there for it, and you should be too. But as far as like like why this you should be excited about this. Well, let's look back about Criminal. It's like real quick because the first volume was called Coward. It was about this guy Leo Patterson who was like never like the bravest criminal. He was always a guy who knew how to get out as soon as like things looked like they were going bad. And it's like and when he's like cajoled into working with this cop and this one other criminal, it's like to get back some stolen evidence. It's like he figures like okay, I've got to find some way to get out of this. It's like he knows that they're going to screw them, but he just can't figure out how they're going to screw them and when that's going to happen. So when it does happen, well, it's like the reasons are just kind of like unexpected, and it's like and you're just kind of left wondering like how is he going to get out of this? Because Leo's kind of like an interesting character in the sense that like I said, he's kind of a coward. Like he's Captain Careful. He wants to figure out how do I get out of this situation more than just how do I it's like how am I going to how am I going to get revenge against these guys? That's just how his character is established. But the problem with the story is that it's like that even after like it tells you like this is how his character is, what kind of like shows you just like how he just how he kind of like breaks from it, as the story goes on. In fact, the climax is all about him just kind of breaking all those rules, which is kind of weird for a character who we've only just gotten to know like 4 issues ago. Like that's you kind of like figure like hey, if you're gonna have a character like you who's gonna kind of break all of his rules, this is gonna have to happen towards like the end of this run rather than just like the very beginning. There you go. But there's also a lot of like criminal mythology that's established here because we hear about how like about how Leo like knew the Lawless family. It's like how how is this like this uncle who was like a master pickpocket who's also addicted to heroin. How his dad died in prison. It's like how Leo killed Teague Lawless, like this guy who was like talked about as being like a like this master vicious criminal, and thinking like, I mean, there's some good world building like in this first volume, even as it kind of like kind of breaks its own rules at the end. But then you get to the second volume, which is called Lawless, and this is all about Tracy Lawless, who who's like the son of Teague, and it's like and the Lawless family is kind of like if the Criminal like series does have have a through line for it, it is for the Lawless family. Just how Teague implanted knowingly or not implanted his own values on his both of his sons, and how they how they carried them out. It's like over the years because with Tracy wound up in a place where he was forced to choose between going to the military or going to jail. He chose the military, and but the thing is, like his younger brother Ricky was young enough to be shoved into juvie, and so he wound up going to juvie and dealing with things on in his own way there. But at the start of the story, Ricky is dead, and Tracy is deserting the military, trying to find out just what happened to his younger brother. What so you kind of figure, okay, it's he's here's this kind of guy. He doesn't have the strongest moral code, but he's got like a sense of purpose. He's got a sense of obligation to do right, by his family and by those who are important to him. But the thing is, and what makes Lawless one of the better criminal volumes is the fact that once Tracy finds out what happened to Ricky, well, it's not what you're expecting. It's in fact, they're any kind of righteous anger that Tracy may have had to the death of his brother. Well, you find out that Ricky kind of may have brought this on himself more than anything else. And at the end of it, Tracy kind of finds himself, locked into the kind of situation that his dad was back in the day, working for this mob boss known as Sebastian Hyde. So so yeah, it's like the second volume, it's like does is an improvement over the first one, and it kind of like provides the through line for the series about being about the Lawless family. That's continued in the third volume, The Dead and the Dying, which is an interesting story in the sense that it's a collection of 3 issues, which it's like, hey, I was kind of surprised, like, hey, 3 issues for $12. My God, it's like you're trying to rip me off here, but no, like these 3 issues are very solid. In fact, they're actually kind of like a heist in reverse, since like you kind of find you're told about these 3 issues focus on 3 different characters. Like there's Gnarly, the boxer turned uh, turned manager of the bar Undertow, which which is featured prominently in the first 2 volumes, and you find out just like how he wound up being like how, like going from boxer to bar manager, and his relationship with Sebastian Hyde, and how this was, and like the racial politics that came into play, like in that it's like in that regard, because Gnarly is black, Sebastian is white, and while they grew up together, like as good friends, it's like things he tried to set them against each other, like as the decades rolled on. And that's only the first story, because the second story involves Teague Lawless himself. Like we finally get to find out like all about like who is this guy that casts a shadow over the first 2 volumes. And it's like I mean, the guy is as vicious and as heckly as you could expect. But what I was surprised to realize upon rereading this story was the fact about how much Brubaker lays at Teague's service in Vietnam as being like responsible for like his nature. It's like I was just kind of like thinking like that is almost kind of a cop out, really. I mean, just saying that no, like Teague's wasn't really that bad before he went to Vietnam. When everything we've heard about him up to this point kind of implies that, yeah, he was kind of a giant bastard before he went to Vietnam. But that's what the story is trying to tell us here. Even though it's like it does do a job of showing us just how ruthless it's like, and calculating he can be. It's like, and then the final volume shows like it's like shows us about the it's like about the woman who influenced who came between Sebastian and Teague and Gnarly. It's like, and like how she and how her how she was treated by them. It's like kind of set up the whole, it's like the whole arc before them. It's like it's a good it's a good volume, but it's also kind of it's also just like kind of a downer, but not really like a downer in an interesting way. Well, I guess it is a downer, but it's still kind of interesting in its own terms. There you go. But then you get the next volume, Bad Night, which focuses on Jacob Kurtz, a guy who was introduced to us in Lawless as as a crippled forger, and like a friend of Tracy, and also more of his his younger brother Ricky. And Jacob, and we find out that Jacob is, while his day job is working on a comic strip called Frank Kafka, but it's like about a cop who just makes all the wrong turns. Well, it's like when Jacob finds himself entangled by this one girl and her abusive criminal boyfriend. It's like he figures like, okay, it's like I just gotta do what they say, and they'll just go away. But no, that's not the case, because turns out that they've got that the girl at least has ties to some to one of Jacob's it's darker episodes in it's like in his past, like to like how he was after he was how he's institutionalized after the quote unquote disappearance of his wife. It's like, and also just how like that how that episode is like it's like brought back it's like is brought back to the forefront. It's like and it's like it's a very it's like it's a good complicated yarn that probably tries to kind of bit too much into its final issue, as we find out exactly how it's like how the girl it connects to like to Jacob's present to his present day, and also how the like the cop that has been hounding him for years, like why he's like so bent out of shape about him, and also just how Frank Kafka figures into Jacob's mind as well. It's like it's good stuff, maybe a bit overstuffed at the end though. And then we get let's see volume five, The Sinners, which brings us back to Tracy Lawless, because after he was after like after Lawless saw him like working for like forced into working for Sebastian Hyde, well now he's but like and he's like resigned to his fate, but he's also just like determined to like hey I'm gonna like determine like whether or not the guys I'm like forced to kill it's like are like actually bad people. It's like so he's just kind of like being like just just working and being on like a giant ass to everyone who's like who he's he comes into contact with, whether it be like Sebastian or be Sebastian's like daughter who he's like forced to keep in the straight and narrow, or Sebastian's wife who he's porking on the side, which well that will become relevant to the main plot as well. But Tracy is basically forced to figure out how am I going to like who's killing all of like all these like made men. It's like and why are they doing it in the first place? It's a good solid it's a good solid story that that shows us like even though it has Tracy has like a more has a moral code to him like to his actions, he's really not good at making it work like like for himself in terms of keeping him out of trouble or keeping people from like beating his ass because like they think that he's the bad guy as well. But The Sinners is still like a very solid story. One of the like very like one of the best of criminals run. It's like and it's also kind of like an interesting endpoint because this is arguably like the story that takes place like furthest in the timeline as far as things go. And even though like things kind of like end, you would think things end kind of badly for Tracy, but I think that hey, like he kind of realizes that in order to escape the cycle of destruction that his family has set for him, what he does at the end of the volume, this is probably like his best way to escape it, and I can kind of appreciate that. And you know what? Look, if we never see Tracy again in Criminal, I'd be fine with that because that would just mean that hey, like he he got out. I mean, he may have got out badly, but he got out nonetheless. There you go. But the volume that followed it is one of the more interesting volumes. This is called The Last of the Innocent. It's like and it's about this guy Riley Richards who it's like he's got like a he seems to have it all. He's got like a he's got a hot rich wife. It's like it's like and he's got like good and he's able to like skip out on town like gamble whenever he wants. It's like and meet up with the old friends back in town. But then he realizes that hey it's like I loved it back when I had like when I was a young kid and I just had all my old friends from like from my high school days. Like what can I do to get it back? And then he realizes I know exactly what I have to do. I have to kill my wife. And you think that okay, well, what's he gonna do that? Well, it's like killing his wife is the easy part. Getting away with it, well, that's the hard part. But it's also not the impossible part because one of the other things about the series, and this is like something that's been something like a of like interest for for Brubaker in his comics is like, hey, he's kind of also obsessed with like Archie as well. It's like Archie, like the guy who's always obsessed with Betty and Veronica, got the best friend Jughead who loves to eat hamburgers. Yeah, Last of the Innocent is basically like the dark version of Archie. It's basically what happens when Archie marries Veronica, realizes that he screwed up, and wants to like get out of it so he can start banging Betty instead. So it and this is the and it's like it's basically all about this like it's all about a story about how this one guy can get away with it. And I think that the more you're familiar with Archie, like the more you'll be able to get get out of it. But the Last of the Innocents is also interesting because it's probably like the one of the rare exceptions to the criminal story about what happens to its main protagonist. I don't want to like give it away because like I think this like the story is worth experiencing for yourself, but it's also like worth reading because it's like because of its connections to like the overall like main story of Criminal as well. Because like Sebastian Hyde makes a cameo as well. Oh, and Teague Lawless shows up as well. It's kind of like the scuzziest version of John Constantine as well. Just telling Riley, hey, like, I know what's going on. It's like I know what's like how things are going bad for you. So it's kind of funny in that regard as well. But Less the Innocent is overall just like the good volume of the series, and how like the series can like like morph its style as well. In fact, like I do want to say that it's like at this point I've gone so long about talking about like the overall writing, the plotting of the series, but the art is still fantastic as well because like everyone's probably it's like heard me like talk before about how I love Sean Phillips. I mean, Phillips like is one of my favorite artists because he is a guy who's like more likely to draw a series that I'm interested in, like more than any other artist. It's like if Phillips is attached to the series, and I can like pick it up and go, hey, you know what? This is probably going to read as well as it looks. And Phillips does gritty and dark really well. It's like he's expressive as well. I mean, he toiled in the Vertigo trenches for years, and he's still, I think, the best artist that Hellblazer ever had because like he is good at drawing otherworldly stuff as he is like drawing like characters who are expressive like in whatever actions they do. I mean, even though Criminal is thoroughly grounded, it's like in the real, Phillips like still draws characters who are fully expressive of the actions like that they're dealing with, and also that oh, it's like and also just a little bit unreal, or they have this potential to them, like they're just like these characters just like antsy, like knowing that at any second, like bad guys are gonna the cops are gonna come and get them at any second, or that the plan is gonna fall apart and they've got to move. Like that that anticipation is key to the series as well. And Phillips just like nails it every single time, especially in the two issue collection that is Volume 7, Wrong Time, Wrong Place. These were the two issues that were done like for Criminal's like 10th anniversary. And at first I thought, oh god damn it, I'm gonna buy like these two issues like just to like read them. But then they published them as like one volume, and that was great. And the thing is, like, this is also another story of the Lawless family. The first issue basically shows what happened to Teague when he was it's like when he was like he was doing a stint in prison. It's like after pulling a job, but not because he didn't get caught because he pulled a job. He got caught because he got in a bar fight and then was pulled in by the cops and was popped on a bench warrant. So T figures, okay, well, I just got to do my stint and like that'll be it. But then he finds out that, oh, it turns out that someone has it in for him while he's in prison, and also like Sebastian Hyde, he's not happy that T got popped like as well. So Teague has to figure out, how do I survive in prison? It's like when just when everyone's gunning for me. Oh, and also at the same time, well, he's also got all these representations of like Ersatz Conan bringing around in his brain as well, because that's what these stories are. They're also kind of like homages to like 70s like 70s Marvel stories as well. It's Conan, specifically Conan, and also Werewolf by Night, like in the sense that you got it's like what was this guy Ragnar, Zagnar the Savage, and also Fang the Kung Fu werewolf. So it allows like Phillips to like do some like do some really effective fantasy action homages. And also I forgot to mention that also in the Last of the Innocent, he does some like really good homages to like art or like Archie style that are just like you wondering, hey, if you wonder like if what would an R-rated Archie comic like? Well, Phillips has your back in that story. But with the first story, it's all about like Teague just trying to use his wits and his ruthlessness to survive in prison, and it's a very solid story on that alone. Then the second story is basically what happens when it's like when Tracy is basically press ganged. Well, Tracy as like he's like 12 now. It's like is press ganged into acting as Teague's getaway driver for this job where he's like trying to find out like, hey, this guy is like this guy has disappeared, and like I've got to and like Teague is F out know where he is, and like Tracy has got to act as a getaway driver. Problem is that Teague is like a complete psychopath, and he's oh man, it's like he's just willing to kill anyone who's like not part of the plan. And so when Tracy like makes friends with this one girl, like who's like who befriends him when Teague is just like running off doing quote unquote research. It's like, well, he's got to figure out, what, how do I deal with this? So these are both very solid stories that it's like I would have liked to have seen more of, but it's like the fact that like they were like just long enough to like make one solid volume. That was like I was very happy about this. And same goes for their OGN. My heroes have always been junkies, which it was like Bill's first. Hey, it's the first like original graphic novel from Brubaker and Phillips. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally there for that. And then when I get this, I see, oh, it's a criminal novella. Huh. So what's this all about? And it's about this girl named Ellie who is always who's always been drawn to like drug addiction, like drug addicts, and how she's in a like in a rehab facility, and she's like in order to get close to this one guy. Well, I mean, you think like, okay, this is probably gonna like end in tears and all, but not for the reasons that it is, because well, it's like you could probably read this without having read any other criminal volume and gotten some enjoyment out of it. But if you've read all the volumes up to this point, you realize, oh shit, this is probably one of the most like continuity heavy criminal volumes as well. Because once you realize who Ellie really is, because this isn't her first appearance in the series, you'll be kind of like, whoa, man. It's like, I mean, I don't think Brubaker like specifically set up the series to tell this story, but he was able like to leverage the series continuity, like to it's like to like pay off more if you've read this. So either way, it's like I said, if you haven't read any criminal, it's still a good story. If you have read criminal, it's like it's even better. It's like it's so good. Same goes for Bad Weekend, which is all about Jacob Kurtz escorting one of his former employer and one of his comic idols, Archie Lewis, to Comic Con, and I'm finding out that, oh well, it turns out Archie has other like more specific reasons for going to Comic Con, and it turns out that that he's like turns out he's lost something. He wants to get it back, and the reason he asked that Archie that Archie asked Jacob to help him out here. Well, it's like it turns out because Jacob knows like some criminal people, including criminal guys like Ricky Lawless, who are willing to like take any risk, no matter how crazy or or stupid they are. So so yeah, I mean that's kind of like sums up why I liked it's like Bad Weekend as much as I did because it was just like it's a good story that basically like tells you that like the comic industry has like had lots of criminal people in its past, criminal actions in its past, and just like how these like characters like play into its history. It's like, and I think it worked really well. It's like, and I would love to see more. It's like of this, of these characters is like it's like in the future, but it's probably not to be because the culmination of Criminal lies in Cruel Summer. This this not volume 8 starts off with a one with a one off about Teague Lawless and how well it starts about Ricky Lawless and how he's trying to find a way to make bail by stealing this diamond necklace from a former pro wrestler. It goes badly, and as a result, even though Teague is bailed out, he finds himself even further in the hole for making up for his son's transgressions. But make up for his son's transgressions he does because because even though like he finds a way out of it, well, we're told at the very end of the volume stuff we already knew that at the end of the summer he's going to be dead. I mean, we knew that Teague is going to be dead like at the like ever since he showed up because that's what the first volume said that we know that Leo Patterson killed Teague Lawless. How did that happen? Why did it happen? Why did it have to happen? That is what Cruel Summer is all about. Cruel Summer is a story of how Leo Patterson realized that the person who he is when he gets behind the gun like is someone who is not to be trusted. How Ricky Lawless was always going to die, even if his dad hadn't strangled him to death for what he did to him. How Teague Lawless finally fell in love and was able to like put his maybe put his violent urges like to not maybe not to rest but maybe in service of not being like wholly self-destructive. But it's also probably like the most multifaceted criminal story in the sense that that a lot of these issues tell tell us a story from several different perspectives. From tells us we get the story from we get stories from T's perspective. It's like we get stories from it's like from Jane's perspective, the girl who falls in love not necessarily falls in love with Teague, but someone who sees in Teague someone that she can maybe spend more than just a weekend or a month with, or Faraday, the detective who it's like who feels the need to save people after his tragic tour in Vietnam. It's like or Ricky. It's like and we find out just what happened to him in juvie. It's like and just how that kind of sent him on this path of self destruction. It's like that culminated his death, that we find out about in volume 2. Cruel Summer is definitely is easily the most character driven of the criminal stories. It's and it just tells us so much that we stuff that so much about stuff that we hadn't known about these characters, but all the stuff that we about these characters that we know, like it makes perfect sense. Such as when Leo plans this heist of an arcade, and it's like, and how he thinks that, hey, it's like like this is something that's like been perfectly well planned out. It's like I know what, and I got planned out I planned out everything, but I still need Ricky to come along and make it work. And Ricky just like indulges all the bad aspects of this, and then we find out about how how Leo, when Leo gets behind the gun, he just knows exactly what to do. It's like it just tells us so much about these characters, and also just tells us like a good solid story about it's like about a heist. It's like in the like in the late '80s that they could that these characters are going to make that like has a high dollar value, and also just like how like why Teague Lawless had to die, just how his death was just made so much sense in the sense that it was always going to happen, and Ricky was always going to be the cause of it. Really, it's like Cruel Summer. It's like I mean, like more than anything else. Like I read this. It's like I basically said fuck buying this from my regular comic book supplier. I'm gonna buy this at Amazon, even though it's only 10% off. Oh man, it's like the savings. But when I got it, I read it and I was like, oh, this is so good. Oh, time to go and reread Rest of Criminal for the podcast. And I'm rereading Coward, and I'm like, wow. I mean, I don't think Brubaker planned this. I think he knew how how these characters like histories interacted, but rereading Cruel Summer and then going directly into Coward, there's just like so much like stuff that connects here, like from just from the story, like how Leo's history with Ricky, when you find out that he killed Teague, this makes and this makes sense. I mean, just like so much of the connects, from volume 8 to volume 1, that it makes this series a nice like Cruel Summer like a nice perfect circle with the with the series as a whole, because you read volumes 1 through 7, and then you read not in volume 8, and then you realize it all connects. I mean, but I don't think, like I said, I don't think Brubaker and Phillips planned it this way. It's like I think it's just like just knowing like how these characters work together. There's like their shared histories, that it worked. It's like that it was just like it was kind of fated that it happened this way, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this right now, because even though Phillips and Brubaker and Phillips could go back and do volume 9 like tomorrow, um, it, it's like I think that the series is still kind of complete, like with this volume. It's like 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 I said, I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I very much looking forward to what like anything else they do together. But Criminal, it's like, yeah, this would be kind of it. If they said it, okay, there's no gonna be no more Criminal after Cruel Summer, it's like I'd be fine with that. I could be cool. I would love to see more. I would love to see further stories of the Lawless family. But even if they probably really dark and really depressing. But I'd still like to see more about it. But in fact, um, one thing that I do want to mention is that between Bad Weekend and Cruel Summer, only 11 issues of the current criminal of the most recent criminal series are collected. Volume issue number 4 is not collected. Like if you want to read issue number 4, you're going to buy it yourself through your local comic shop or through Comixology, which is what I did for 99 cents. It's a story about Ricky Lawless after the days of Cruel Summer, and it's basically about him trying to make things right between him and Leo, but because Ricky is the consummate fuck up, things go badly, pretty badly. But and to be honest, I think that if that they could have included that story as an epilogue to Cruel Summer, just to show you that hey, this is what happened to Ricky, like as a result of all this. But they didn't, and you know, I I think that I think the story would have been stronger for it. But hey, it's like if you want to go and pick it up, it's only 99 cents digitally. So overall, it's like I think like the I think the criminal series does kind of have its flaws. It's like sometimes the stories like aren't at like some stories are more immaculately planned out and well told than others. I think the coloring is better in other stories as well. Well, because while the series is initially colored by Val Staples, um, it's like eventually like Betty Brightweiser takes over for Volume 7. Wrong time, wrong place. I think that Sean Phillips' son Jacob does the best coloring job, like for My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies, Bad Weekend, and Cruel Summer, because he understands that his dad's stories are dark, they don't have to be physically dark. So that I can appreciate that. But overall, it's like criminal. It's like top of the line stuff, and like it's a very good explanation as to it's a very good example of like how um like Brubaker and Phillips like are regarded as like one of the best creative teams in comics. And Cruel Summer, it's like oh man, it's like it was so glad that I finally got a chance to read this. Like even though I only got 10% off, like Amazon was only offering a 10% off discount when I ordered this. It's like it was still like worth just that paltry discount to read it because like oh it was so good. Maybe you'll be seeing me talk about this. It's like in the best of the year. Um, maybe not, but I think definitely maybe. So I guess John, it's like if you're still awake over there, it's like you got any thoughts about all this like criminal it's like activity and whatnot?
Hmm. Um. So you say it's a recommend?
Absolutely.
All right. Cool. So, and it is available, like you said, on Comixology at the very least, right?
Yeah, in fact, see, there have been three deluxe editions released. If you want to read the existing volumes in hardcover, but it's like My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies and Bad Weekend are are in graphic OGN only. Same goes for Cruel Summer as well.
Hmm. All right. So, do you know what you're going to talk about next time? I think you do.
Yes, finally going to talk about East of West because I've finally got all 10 volumes, and well, it's like I think I know what my thoughts are about it. I mean, they're not wholly positive, but we'll see after I like reread everything after having gotten volume 10. So there you go.
All right, and we'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Click.
All right, laters.
Bye.